further afield, in a developing story in the United States of America, 18 bodies have been recovered following a mid-air collision between a plane and a helicopter near Reagan Airport in Washington. So for more, we're going to be getting an update. Let's cross to SABC News correspondent Nick Harper. Nick, good morning. As at this point, just to really relay what information we have at our disposal. We're just looking at information on survivors, fatalities, and of course those who have been injured. What can you provide us with at this hour?
Yeah, a very grim situation. There is a press conference that's currently underway in which we have been hearing from the mayor of Washington, D.C., but also federal officials, including the new Transport Secretary, Sean Duffy, who's only been in the job for just one day and already having to deal with what is clearly becoming a very significant tragedy unfolding in the nation's capital. You can see behind me the emergency response that is still going on at Reagan Airport. These are live pictures of what is taking place there in and around the tarmac, but more importantly, in and around the river, the Potomac River that borders Washington, D.C.'s airport, just outside of Washington, D.C. in the U.S. state of Virginia, one of the busiest airports in the United States. And we know that about 300 first responders are there on the site trying to find, in a search and rescue operation, the 60 passengers, the 4 crew members, the 3 Army personnel who were in the helicopter. But all of this very much pointing towards a grim situation where a rescue operation is quickly becoming a recovery operation to recover the bodies of those people who appear to have died in this very unfortunate crash.
Yes, Nick, it is rather sad news coming through at this hour. I wonder if you could just speak to the impact that it's had on traffic volumes and travel as well.
Traffic volumes, well, in and around the airport, many of the major roads have been closed down. The airport itself for takeoff and landings is currently closed. It'll remain closed until 11 a.m. local time. It's about 1:20 in the morning at the moment, so due to be closed for many hours to come. Of course, that has a knock-on effect for people who are hoping to fly in and out of one of the busiest airports. Normally there'd be about 800 takeoffs and landings every single day. Those will not be taking place during the busy early hours, the rush hour, morning hours of Thursday morning. And therefore the knock-on effect and the ability for people to travel out of Washington, D.C. Will be made much, much harder.
All right, Nick, and then I know investigations are underway, but we're looking at, some of the sentiments emerging as to, what was the cause of the crash. Any indication on that part as we speak?
Yeah, it's not clear at this stage. The National Transportation Safety Board that would get involved in any type of transport accident, they have said that an investigation is underway. They are also working with the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, to try and work out what's wrong, because there is really no reason why that commercial aircraft and that military helicopter should have come into contact. They should have not have been that close. We've even heard from the US president in the course of the last hour or so on social media expressing significant concern about what happened and even suggesting that it was in his words, a bad situation that should have been prevented. He points out that it was a clear night. He says the lights from the plane were blazing. He says he doesn't understand why the helicopter went up and down or turned, and he questions the commands that would have been coming from the control tower to the helicopter, and essentially saying that this appears to be user error on the part of either the commercial pilots or the pilots in the helicopter. But undoubtedly central to all of this will be trying to understand why those 2 aircraft were in the same airspace at the same time.
Absolutely, Nick. Thank you very much for joining us here at this hour. We're certainly monitoring developments as we await more information and put the pieces of the puzzle together. Nick Harper, SABC News correspondent, joining us. We know in the developing story, 18 bodies have been recovered from a U.S. plane crash. We'll bring you the latest as it unfolds.